Hello and welcome to the Talk Football Podcast. I'm your host, Hodgie, and today with me I have James Jenkins, who is a Cardiff fan, and I've got Ryan Lowe, who is a proud Jack. That means he's a Swan. And we are going to be talking everything Cardiff today and maybe covering some other topics on other aspects of football. We might even touch on a bit of Swans as well. So Ryan can give us a little bit of an update on what's happening with the Swans. Do you know what? I can't really start this episode without saying what a comeback today with that one, eh?
Oh, fucking brilliant, boys. What a fucking comeback I was. Sorry for my French, but I was so excited I couldn't stop my hands from clenching.
And we are, it'd be stupid not to talk about that. We are going to talk about that. But we're going to look at Cardiff and their overall season so far and how you guys think it's gone, and get your opinions on what's been happening with the Bluebirds. So obviously, start of the season. Talk me through it, boys.
Start of the season, I don't expect my mate to know too much about it because he's a Jack, and he'd only know about his own team, wouldn't he? But saying that, the Swans are a bit obsessed with us. So, we started the season well. I think we started the season well. We went however many games unbeaten. Was it?
He's getting his notes up. I can hear him clicking.
I'm getting my notes up.
Obviously, James and Ryan are not in the same room as me. We are doing this on Skype because obviously, there is a huge distance between us. I'm in London.
We went 4 games unbeaten. Obviously, then the international break came in, and you think about it this season, we haven't won a derby this season. When you think the South Wales derby,
good weekend. That
was a brilliant weekend for us.
Or the Seven-side derby,
So for those that don't know, I know obviously people on the pod know that I am a Chelsea fan, but I am because of the guy's house I live in, who's a diehard Swans fan. So obviously many moons ago, when me and this guy first started working together, he took me to the Liberty Stadium not long after it had opened for a home game. It was against Oldham and they lost, so I became a bit of a bad omen. But ever since then, I've been a bit of a Swans fan. So obviously when I met James, we used to have a bit of banter with the Swans and Cardiff.
We did, didn't we?
We did, yeah. Anyway, like I said, we do go off on tangents every now and then, but that was my little tangent into the Swans territory. But yeah, start your season. Started off all right.
Yeah, we did. We started against Barnsley, 1-1 draw, nothing major. It was the first game since COVID that the fans were back in the stadium. So obviously with the unfortunate events with the likes of Peter Whittingham, it was nice to sort of be back in the stadium and support the team and give a fitting tribute to a player that served 10 years to our club with some outstanding goals. He was
a great player.
He was. The football he played was cracking, tremendous. And when he had the ball, he'd look up and just the passes he'd make and
an absolute wand of a left foot.
Exactly.
Was. Yeah. He does what he wants, or he did what he wants.
Particularly with the pandemic. I don't, for me with football, I kind of lost a little bit of a connection with it all, having to just watch it on TV all the time.
Yeah,
and I've only been to one game, obviously since COVID, and that was at Chelsea Ladies because I like to take one. I like having a look, and two, obviously my daughter is obviously a big Chelsea fan. And it's less intimidating for her to watch it in a smaller stadium with the ladies. So, I haven't been to the bridge so far this season. But, yeah, I really missed that. I really missed that aspect of being in the stadium. And I know you've obviously, James, particularly, have been to a few Cardiff games, with the fans back and that. And I'm sure I've seen some clips there on your social media of you being in the stadiums and whatnot. So,
yeah,
it must be buzzing, like being back in the ground.
It is, yeah. Like I say, with the Barnsley game, first game back, in nearly 2 years, and we had queues of, I don't know how to explain it, but we had queues going back so far that it took about half an hour to get into the stadium. You know, I queued up at about 22:03, and it took me until just about kickoff to get into the stadium to sit down, and the atmosphere was immense. You know, you think it's the first game in however many years with fans, and it was always going to be special. And you think then with the events that happened, and it you know, club legends like Peter Whitnam, it was spine tingling. It was.
Well, I mean, obviously with such an atmosphere, it's a bit of a shame your season started falling away pretty quickly then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did. You know, like I say, we had 4 games unbeaten, 2 of those are draws, 2 of them wins, and then we faced Bristol City just before the international break, and we lost 2-1. And then you think, well, okay, that's 2-1. It's not a bad result. You know, Bristol City, they've been doing well for the last few years. They're starting to get better. Premier League club in training, as they say. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
And then Nottingham Forest, we were on 2-1 against them, and as you say, we started falling off then, and we lost 8 on the row, 8 on the bounce even. So we fell off quite hard, you know, just after the international break. So it's kind of hard thing to swallow, you know.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk managers, because obviously, you know, there was changes.
Yep.
And yeah, what's your opinions on all that then? And everything, Mick McCarthy and et cetera, because he's Big a bit of a funny one, Mick, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's a very dour. I mean, obviously, he's a good manager. You don't have a career like he has without being a good manager. But obviously, for certain clubs and certain fans and that, he's not a fit.
Well, the thing is with Mick McCarthy and Cardiff, we've had fans, you know, say over the last few years, apart from Neil Warnock, a lot of our fans seem to think that our managerial appointments have been lacking.
Average.
Lacking in ambition. All right. And then Mick McCarthy comes in after Neil Harris, and it's like, well, everyone's kicking off. They're thinking, well, same old Cardiff, head tennis.
I mean, did you think it was the right decision to part with Harris?
To part with Harris? I mean, he fell off. Let's be honest. He fell off big time. Like Mick McCarthy, there was definitely a new manager bouncing there. We started well. We had a run of games where we done quite well. Under Neil Harris, we got into the playoffs, lost against Fulham. Fulham seemed to be our bogey team anyway, so it's
they're a good side.
They are, especially with Mitrovic. Mitrovic always scores against the Welsh clubs, especially Swansea, and Ryan would know about that.
Yeah.
And Mitrovic as well, when he scored against Swansea, he done the Ayatoya on 19 minutes and 27 seconds. So coincidentally, the same year we won the FA Cup.
Mitrovic bagged another couple today and all.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, he's a decent player in the Championship, but whenever they get to the Premier League, he goes missing.
Yeah, he doesn't quite hit the same heights in the Premier League, does he?
Cardiff.
Wow. We can't quite last 7 seasons in a row, it seems. But, but yeah, you know, as I say, Mick McCarthy, we sort of had a new manager bounce, and we finished just outside of the playoffs in the 2021 season. And then we went on a sort of like a winning streak towards the end of that season. I can't quite remember how long it was, but it was about 4 or 5 games winning streak, and we done quite well. You know, and again then into new season, we won 4 games unbeaten.
Yeah, and
I don't know what happened to him. He just sort of seemed to lose the dressing room, and we went on.
The thing is with the Championship, it's such a fickle division, and it's a really tough division. And it's a long season, 46 games, and I mean I've seen teams that have been struggling, you know, barely sitting above relegation zones, and then mid-season they put like a 10 to 15 game, winning streak together, and then by the end of the season they find themselves in the playoffs and then end up in the Premier League through the playoffs. It's a bizarre division. I personally think it's the toughest division in Europe.
Yeah,
really
it's the most watched in the world. Championship. It's a proper scrappy league. Towards after Christmas, literally every team is up for it.
Yes.
If you lose 4 games, that's difference between playoff and coming up as champions.
Yeah.
It's a
totally.
good tough league.
And
it's
again,
a good football league as well, though, isn't it?
As Swansea well know.
Exactly.
Yeah, Swansea well know. Yeah, they started the season quite shit. We started the season quite well, and all of in the space of about 5-6 games, we were right in the mix together. And again, on that losing streak, we conceded nearly 19 goals, and in that losing streak, 8 games, mind you, the longest losing streak in our history. We conceded 19 goals and only scored 1.
Would you have given Mick more time?
No.
Yes.
Of course he would say yes.
Personally,
no.
with his history, I would, yeah. Yeah. Because you can't blame the manager. You can't blame the manager.
But I suppose that's the old adage with football, isn't it? Though you can't change a 22-player squad, but you can there's one position which is always quickly interchangeable.
But then you look at his tactics, right? And against Blackburn, we lost 5-1, right? And then we go to West Brom, and he was like, "Well, we need a clean sheet." And what does he go and fucking do? Lose 4-0. Well, we have 5 fucking centre backs, 5 centre backs, right? and then Redding comes along, right? And then he's like, "Okay, we actually have a much improved performance. Fans are starting to get on his back, pissed off or whatever." And then who goes and scores? Only Junior Hoylett, right? And I was well, Junior Hoylett, he's a class player on his day. He's got a lot of pace. He's decent at long shots. And I was there for that Reading game, and a class goal. And honestly, fair play to him. He did not celebrate against us.
No,
absolute down to earth player.
Respect. That's right. If you play against your former club and you score, you don't celebrate.
Well. Depends who it is.
90% of the time you wouldn't.
See, I've never got that. I understand, like, maybe respect thing and all that, but I get that, not celebrating. If you'd been at the club say 7 or 8 years or something like that, I kind of get that. But when someone's been at the club for like 2 or 3 years and then they're not celebrating that I'd find if I was the club that the player was currently playing for, I'd feel, hang a minute, you're playing for us, mate. You should be celebrating and Billy Big Bollocks.
Yeah, that's the other side.
Hoylett signed for us in 2017, and it's 2021 now. So he give or take about 4 years. And I think the Cardiff fans, we showed him a lot of respect, Junior Hoylett. We absolutely loved him, and I don't think he got the same respect out of QPR fans. Let's be honest.
No.
No. But
very, very, very rarely does anyone that does play for that club unless your name's Sir Les Ferdinand
or Charlie Austin. But I don't understand why he's gone back there, honestly. But I
suppose someone had to pay his wages when he can't run anymore.
Yeah. Well, Junior Hoylett, like I say, we adored him.
Good player.
He's been one of our best wingers for a long, long time. Unless you're looking at Joy Bothroyd and Michael Chopra, those were the days. But again, 19 goals against 1 goal for. It's a hard one to swallow. It really is.
And obviously Morrison's not permanent. So I presume he's got a job to the end of the season, and then see what happens.
No, he had 3 games. He has 3 games. So he obviously played again today.
Yeah.
And then he's got the next 2 games. And then I think Michael Flynn, the manager of Newport, or ex-manager of Newport now, he's a favourite to sign for the job at the moment. Chris Wilder was favourite beforehand.
I mean, with Chris Wilder, would that be going kind of down the roads of another Mick McCarthy type.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I'd say Bellamy. Bellamy knows history. He knows Cardiff.
But then look at Man United with Ollie.
Exactly, but Chelsea done it. Chelsea done it. With
it takes years to become a legend, and only seconds to become a villain.
That's true, but O'Leary done it with Swans and whatever, innit? But it didn't really work out. But Championship.
I think maybe someone with some kind of previous link to the club.
But not just that, Ronald Koeman.
Yeah. I mean,
Koeman's out of a job.
Koeman, I don't think Ronald Koeman's going to be.
He shouldn't have took Barcelona in that job. Nah, he shouldn't have took that.
No, but I don't think
that job was way too big for him.
Exactly.
It was, wasn't it?
You know, Southampton, Everton, Barcelona.
Especially then when
let's face it, he got it because he was available, he was cheap, and they were skint.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they just sold Messi as well.
Yeah, they were desperate.
But
they lost Messi, they got Aguero.
Yeah, so general, go back to Cardiff now. On the season as a whole, I think we started. We started the season optimistic. We had won however many games on the trot towards the end, and we got quite close to a second consecutive year in the playoffs. So we thought, why not be optimistic? Mick McCarthy's actually done well. None of us gave him a chance. Let's give him a chance. He's Big Mick for sake.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, looking at the table, all right, it don't look great being, one place above the bottom three. You're only 12 points off the top six.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not even halfway through the season yet. So 12 points is very easy in the championship.
And this is what goes back to what I'm saying with the championship. If you put a run together now, 4 or 5 games, and of course, people will beat each other in and around the table, in and around where you are. Before you know it, you could easily be sitting up there, sitting in between, anywhere between, say, Swansea and QPR.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And then talking to Swansea as well, and
they've had their shenanigans with managers this season as well, haven't they?
I
mean, what do you make of that? What do you make of him going to Forest?
The fact that they let go of Steve Cooper, I think that was a stupid decision.
I can only imagine that the compensation package must have been pretty decent.
Exactly.
Because to me, it didn't, in terms of where, if you want to get the club in a playoff position, go in that direction, then you don't get rid of in my opinion anyway, a good manager.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, Steve Cooper, his dad is a Cardiff boy, so I don't think his dad approved of the job anyway.
He's
Welsh
boy. He's Welsh.
No, his dad was a Cardiff boy. Was he from Merthyr? I can't quite remember. But yeah, no. Obviously, Steve Cooper took the side of the Jacks, and he traitorous bastard for that.
Playoffs 2 years in the running, 2 years of running, but
yeah, I mean,
personally, from a Swans perspective, I'd rather championship football. It's
do you know what? A lot of my friends who are Swans fans say to me, and to be fair, actually, a lot of people that I know that support clubs in the championship.
Yeah,
I've got a mate who, he's a Norwich fan as well, and it was great. They went up as champions. But he knew full well what was coming next. So he knows, one, they're not going to spend no money. Yeah, not going to spend no money. They're going to bank all the money. They're going to sink. And fair play to them in a way. I get it. So they put something like a lot of the money, around about £75 million worth of the money that they've got from getting promoted, they're sinking back into the academy and all that. So I kind of get that because you're securing the club's future, etc., etc. But what I find difficult, and obviously last time Cardiff were in the Premier League, kind of a similar situation. Didn't go mad with the money, so it was always going to be a case you'd be in a battle, and I think that's what really hurts, because as fans, particularly if you're having a great season and you're used to watching your team play good football and you're winning a lot of games, and it's almost like someone's got your fucking heart and just like
grabbing it. But you imagine playing good football. I can't remember a time other than Chopper and Bothroyd, and even that's a stretch. Well, Chopper, Bothroyd, Ledley, Aaron Ramsey, you know. So that's a fucking
days.
good team, mind.
Back
That
in
was
the
one
day-
of our better
back in the
teams.
day, that was a good team. I used to love going to the Tuesday, Wednesday night, Swans Cardiff games on Liberty.
But, you know, Craig Bellamy as well.
Yeah,
How did he sign for us from
Bellamy's got a free
Liverpool?
kick from like the edge of the box, and I was
Yeah.
like, fair play, applauded. I was like,
Yeah.
that's a good free kick. All the
Yeah.
boys looking around saying, what? I was like, not being funny, that's a good free kick.
But
His skin passed over,
you know,
and I was like, wow.
I think apart from them days, and again, even those are a stretch, we haven't, Cardiff as a whole, we haven't played football
because
for a while.
I mean, I think even under Warnock, I mean, it weren't pretty football, but it was effective.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to describe it. It was effective football under Warnock. We did have occasional plays where, you know, we passed the ball quite well and we scored some decent goals. But otherwise, I think it was more likened to head tennis.
It was football.
Crazy Gang, Wimbledon.
League One football, you know? 4-4-2, get it into the opponent's box and just smash it in, you know.
But I personally think as well, homegrown talent makes a difference.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
like
having players that you can have you've got a common link with.
Yeah.
Joe Allen had a hell of a reception today.
Yeah,
as you can probably imagine.
But
so did
talent.
Ruben Colwell.
Exactly.
You know, Ruben Colwell, Kiefer Moore.
A team. Not being funny, back in Indian Park when Joe Allen scored that goal in the derby. You know,
for Swansea.
Yeah, for Swans, obviously, But you know, that was passion. You know, the way he celebrated was passion. The way he played was passion. Lately, it's nothing for the boys. Not being funny, nothing, but you know, there's no homegrown talent. And on the pitch, how many Welsh boys started the game? How many Welsh boys finished the game?
If we're talking about today, quite a few.
The last few years, it's not many homegrown talent.
No, and I mean for Cardiff especially, you know, since the days of Ramsey and Joe Ledley, it's sort of fallen off.
The boys they've had, the academy has come through. It's pretty poor.
But then you think Gareth Bale, he's a Cardiff boy through and through. His family are Cardiff.
Yeah.
Gareth Bale has said that he wants to retire at Cardiff.
Exactly.
But he obviously came through the academy at Southampton.
Yeah.
He finished there at Cardiff, that's the thing, because Southampton made him.
But he promised his mother that he'd retire at Cardiff. You know, I think.
What do you make of you know? I mean, it's three at the back. Is three at the back being a continuous sort of theme that you've played this season?
What for Cardiff?
Yeah.
Well,
because I'm looking at the stats and the lineup from today's game. So obviously they've gone with the three at the back with the wing backs, two what looks like two holders, and then a couple of 10 sitting behind Moore.
Yeah. So today, we played three at the back with two wing backs. You know, left wing back, right wing back. But you think back to the likes of Reading, well, not Reading necessarily, but West Brom and Swansea necessarily. We played five centre backs. I mean, and it goes back to Mick McCarthy. What on earth was he thinking?
I mean, is that just? I mean, obviously, I didn't see any of those games. Did they have any particular physicality up front, like a big couple of big number nines? Maybe is that why he did it, or? Well,
I mean, no, because Mick McCarthy, and he's on record as saying he wanted a clean sheet against West Brom. Yeah. You know, and obviously fans gave him stick because we lost 4-0. You know, and to his credit, he chose a different team against Reading, and we played well. Despite the 1-0 loss, and if it wasn't for Junior Hoylett, we would have probably drew that game or potentially better. Yeah. But then Swansea came along, and as I said to you earlier, before we started this podcast, I was in the Swansea.com stadium. And by the way, what the fuck is that name for a stadium? That's atrocious.
Exactly.
Is that the new name of the Liberty?
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Everyone's in Liberty, but it's the Swansea.com stadium. It's awful.
Yeah.
Personally,
Is that some dodgy sponsorship tie-in?
I presume so, yeah, but not too funny. When they had the sponsor in Championship with the old Umbro kit, wasn't it?
I don't know, but it's a dodgy sponsorship from Swansea City Council.
Yes, awful. Not too funny. Everyone calls it Liberty. Why change the name?
Well, if you look back in the history books, the Liberty Stadium was once called the White Rock Stadium.
The White Rock, and then what was it? Swansea City Stadium, I'm sure it's called.
Yeah.
It's been called a few stupid names, but
and then it became
awful.
I mean, the Liberty Stadium. The Liberty Stadium in itself was a naming right.
Exactly. The Liberty Stadium.
Why they settled on Swansea.com, I will never know.
Money. And not funny, in this league, in this world, money, it resolves anything.
Yes.
Of course, but do you see Cardiff sell it? Well, I can't
Cardiff
say that.
did sell it.
We did sell our soul, actually.
Yeah, let's not talk about red kits. And,
well, I got a red kit there. I wish I never fucking bought it.
It does look smart, though. It's right.
I mean, if there was ever a way to completely get the fans turning against you, turning up at the club after you've taken it over and go, oh yeah, by the way, fantastic club, love the area. Lovely place, Cardiff, but yeah, we think your blue kit's shit, mate.
Your blue kit, gonna change your kit, change your badge, keep your name, and that's it.
We're gonna change your kit, change your badge,
literally rip out your identity and just drop it in the bay.
But instead of the Bluebirds, we want you to be the Red Dragons. Oh, and by the way, why the fuck isn't your goalkeeper scoring any goals?
That was the why would you pull a goalkeeper? No, he's not scoring goals, but obviously, but. Actually, we'll change your whole kit.
I'm surprised David Marshall didn't spark him one for that.
Exactly. Not just that, we'll give you a free scarf.
Well, I mean, obviously, we can touch on, if we're talking owners, we can touch a little bit on Swansea in terms of the ownership as well. Obviously, I watched Jack to a King, one of my favourite documentaries.
Yes, that was a good documentary, actually.
It's cracking. I love a football documentary.
Yeah, watching that, Swansea has, especially since the turn of the millennium, Swansea has had a very similar history to Cardiff.
Up and down.
Well, yeah, I mean, quite like I say, my landlord, he's a diehard Swans fan, and at one point, obviously, Hugh Jenkins was a hero, saved the club, and this, that, and the other. And now he hates him.
Yeah.
To sell out and everything. Yeah.
But like I say, Swansea, and I mean, despite the fact that they've been bitter rivals, and I get on with my mate because he's my mate. But
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you still, despite the fact you have your rivalries and that, you obviously still want Welsh clubs to do well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, I'd love to see Wrexham back in the football league.
Wrexham, Merthyr Town,
with their owners and their little bit of money, mate, that could happen.
Well,
that's just mental and bizarre, isn't it? But
they have spent out this year, I have to say, but fingers crossed now they'll make it this year. I love to see 4 clubs in the football league.
Well, I was quite chuffed when Newport got up as well, because obviously, it's just good. I think it's just good to have that kind of variety and to see like especially a small club like Newport as well getting into the football league.
But you go to that and then you see all these English fans saying, well, Welsh clubs don't deserve to be in the English leagues. Well, you know what? Yeah. When we joined the English leagues, it was the fact that there was no Welsh leagues. And when the Welsh leagues were created, the English league the football league, they wanted us to stay.
Yeah.
They asked us to stay. They said, look, please stay. Whatever the case was, they wanted us to say. You look at us, Cardiff. We were the only team. We still remain the only team to take the FA Cup outside of England.
Yeah,
and that's why we have triangular corner flags.
It's the Premier, babe.
But I think now really we got to talk about today's game, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I
was better.
I wasn't really paying that much attention. I was keeping check on the Premier League scores. Obviously that's natural. Yeah, and then my mate Adam, obviously, you've played with him on the Xbox. I got no legs.
I've got no legs.
And he's actually called that because he's actually got no legs.
Yeah, I know.
I'll make that clear. He's got prosthetics. It's not just us being cruel.
He's a nice lad as well.
Yeah. He'll stump me for that. So of course he's texted me and he was like, Stoke are up, Stoke are 3 up. I'm like, oh fucking hell. And I actually said, James won't be happy.
I checked the score. I checked the Snapchat. James was like, oh my god. I was like, check the score 3-0. I was like, fucking come on.
I think it was like it literally just gone 5, and obviously I was at work, so I was out on the bus and I can't touch my phone and all that until I get to each end of the route. And then I get out my phone at the end of the route, and Adam's text, he goes, "You ain't gonna believe this."
I know.
3-3, and then I guarantee, mate, this is bizarre. Like, because literally within about a minute of him saying that to me, James has texted me. And he's like, and then like we got into a little chat on the text and all that. He's like, my head's spinning and it's mental. And then I went on the BBC Scores website and I looked. I'm like, bloody hell, 3 and 5.
Yeah, 3 and 5 minutes.
But literally, it was like literally from when you said, "Oh, I'm off out." 2 minutes later, 3-3. I'm out. I was like, "Oh my god, what is this going on?"
Well, the thing is, he messaged me, Ryan, and he was like, "Oh, what's the score?" And James, I said,
3-0. I was like, "What's the score? Swans was 3 up this time. Cardiff was 3 down. Newport was 3-0 up at half time. I was like, fucking come on.
Talking about Newport, 5-0.
Exactly.
Where did that come from?
I did not predict that. But literally, but all the scores up, I was like, right, James said he's up for a few. I was like, come on, end the score.
Nice.
And then, no, knock him out. To like 10 minutes later, I was getting my jeans on, having a shit. I'm outside. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm outside now. So I was like, yeah.
I mean, today, look, Mick McCarthy was sacked, and I think I'm a bit drunk. I'm sorry.
Listen, I think after what's happened today with that game, you well deserve having a few beers.
Literally, a Cardiff fan is well deserved a few beers last 10 years.
Back to
after the performances they've had.
Back to today's game, Steve Morrison, right? He's been the under-23s coach for Cardiff now for a few months.
He's done a too bad job.
And
he's done all right.
He's turned our academy around. I personally think our academy's gone on quite a few winning streaks, and they scored quite a few goals.
Bearing that in mind, and obviously, especially getting a result like he has today, and it brings that bit of feel-good factor. He obviously, like you say, being under 23s, he knows maybe there's some young players that could be brought through. Why not give the guy a shout? I mean, whether or not he wants it or not, I don't know, but
it's worth a try.
The thing is, he has been asked about it, by the press, by the Mirror, or as they're called here, the Wales Online.
Of course, he's going to knock that back. I mean, he's not going to put himself in a position where he's going to say, yeah, I want it, in case things go tits up.
He hasn't denied that he wants it,
Yeah.
But the thing is, Mehmet Dalman, I think. I can't remember his position in the club. I think he's the CEO. Is he? Either he's the CEO or either he's the CEO or Ken Chu is. I can't quite remember. But Mehmet Dalman, he is part of the board at Cardiff, and if I remember reading correctly, he doesn't want Steve Morrison as the manager. But obviously, today's game is the perfect audition for it.
Yeah.
Perfect interview, isn't it? Say, okay, well, if we win today, you can't not consider me.
You can't take off one game, though. You can't take off one game.
No, obviously you can't take it off one game.
Dalman is he's listed named as the chairman.
Yeah, so he's the chairman.
But
to be honest, that's how little I care about Dalman. He's a prick.
Personally, I think the intern managers have done a better job than the first team managers and whatever.
Well,
you do tend to get that little bounce, don't you?
You do.
It's like the underdogs, it's like the underdog manager. It's like, yeah, he's done a good job, yeah.
And the thing is, when Mick McCarthy got sacked, it was like, well, Mick McCarthy, he lost the dressing room. He did, and there was no secret about it. And after the Swansea lost, it was
but what was the reason why he did lose dressing room? Is it?
Well, look at the football he played.
Yeah, but you should always have control of that room.
Well, you should, and I don't think. I think he's lost his touch as a manager, and I think he's on his way to retirement now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He never contributed towards the fans when we got back in the stadiums, And look at Warnock, right? After that Middlesbrough game,
to say, he was a decent manager.
Warnock.
I think when you're against Warnock and he's in the opposing dugout, you all hate him. But when he's in your dugout, but he's giving you 100% fight, don't you?
He's a character. He's a character, but not just that. Ian Holloway, Blackpool, he's a character.
He is, and this is my point, right?
Old school, exactly.
He is, and this is my point. After the Swansea game, I think we all knew the writing was on the wall for Mick McCarthy. I think we all knew he was gone, because at that point, I think personally, it is 3-0. I think against our bitter rivals. Two out of 2 derbies lost in this season. I think, and we were on quite a long losing streak at that point. Anyway, that was a 5-game losing streak, or was it 6? It was 6. 6. Yeah, that was 6. It was a good 6 losing streak, and I think at that point we all knew he was going to get sacked anyway.
But not just that.
And then we play Fulham and we lose, and Fulham again are bogey teams who we sort of expect to lose against them, especially with an informed Mitrovic. And then Middlesbrough come along, and it's Warnock. We adore Warnock. Look what Warnock done for us as a club. What Warnock done for us as a club. He took over our club from the likes of Russell Slade and then on the latter Paul Trollope, and we were in the relegation zone, and he got us up to the brink of playoffs, and then after that we sort of got into second in next season miraculously, and we were in the Premier League, and in typical Warnock fashion we get relegated. Warnock is not a Premier League manager.
No, but Warnock pulled you out the shit.
He did.
He pulled out the shit. You should have gave him more time. Personally,
I don't disagree with that. I think Warnock, he's a brilliant manager, and he for the Championship, he's the manager you want in charge.
But the difference between Premiership and Championship is a whole new ball game.
And but again, Warnock, right? Well, this is the thing against Middlesbrough. You look, this is Mick McCarthy's last game in charge. We lose 2-0. Sol Bamba. Why on earth did Sol Bamba find out he lost his job at Cardiff through social media? Why? And
it just shows
the fans.
Poor relations.
It's poor relations. It's, you find out you're sacked through social media. It's personally, you should have a meeting a day before and say, look, with the club, this is happening, you're being sacked. All right, no problem. So have a day to put it together.
But this is the thing.
Put out.
But this is the thing. After all, Bamba and Warnock has done for us. Bamba, especially, especially with the cancer he's gone through and everything.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and him and Warnock get a standing ovation from the Cardiff fans. How would that feel for Mick McCarthy? There's only one Neil Warnock, and do the Ayatollah Warnock, do the Ayatollah Bamba. How does that feel for Mick McCarthy, the one that?
Yeah, but it's how Cardiff treated them.
But it's Mick McCarthy who made those decisions, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Mick McCarthy who made the decision to get rid of Sol Bamba in the end.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you were in that dugout
and
your home fans were cheering for the away manager? How would you feel?
Yeah,
I think I would quit on the spot.
It'd be a little bit, yeah. I mean, if you awkward.
Good day in the office.
I mean, Neil Warnock even done the Ayatoya. He even went up to the fans in the Canton end, which is the stand I sit in.
Yeah.
All the singing, and he even done the fist bump that he does. The swinging arm, and for the Cardiff fans.
Yeah,
and he beat us.
Yeah,
and he done it for us.
I think the thing with Mick McCarthy, he hasn't got that warming touch, if you know what I mean.
No,
he's a typical dour northerner. He hasn't really got that. He's not one for the hysterics on the touchline and ranting and raving, and Warnock. Obviously, we all know what Warnock's like, chasing linesmen up and down the sidelines and all sorts.
That's what he want.
Passion.
That's commitment.
That's passion. I think sometimes you can take a bit of crap football if you're getting 100% from the players on the pitch, and you can see that the guy on the touchline's giving it everything he can. You can't physically, as a manager, go out there and kick a ball.
If the players want it, the managers want it, and the fans are going to get behind it.
But again, that's the thing with Warnock. He connected with the city. He connected with the fans. He connected with the players, and that's what we're missing. To be fair to Mick McCarthy, he's never really been, other than maybe Ipswich, he's never really had that kind of connection, and doesn't necessarily generate that kind of connection with the fan base anyway. And that's the thing. And this season, and speaking of Ipswich, actually, which is something I forgot to add to as part of my notes, Mick McCarthy and Ipswich, their last season in the Championship, 2017-18, or was it 2018-19? Well, it was the season that we got promoted. We went on a 5-game unbeaten run, clean streak, 100% record over 5 games. And Mick McCarthy and Ipswich done the exact same thing. They matched our record 1-1, and straight after that, they fell off.
Yeah.
And this, even though we drew 2 and won 2, reminds me exactly what happened with Ipswich that season. I think
it does tend to be a bit of a McCarthy trait.
Oh.
But then they tend to have that dip, and then they come back again. But obviously, in this situation, obviously, he wasn't given the chance to bring it back round.
Well, would you give? I don't know who's the manager of Chelsea now.
Oh, come on, Super Thomas.
Yeah,
but I mean, I've got to say, if obviously it's not a comparison in terms of situation, but like obviously when we had Frank in charge, so obviously. Great season before transfer ban, brings a load of young players in. We do amazing, qualified into the top 4, got us back in the Champions League. Following season, we actually started all right. We actually started all right. The season that Tuchel came in, we actually started the season pretty well. Frank, and this is why I think Frank, to go off on a little bit of a Chelsea tangent, but I think Frank deserves just as much of getting a Champions League medal as the rest of the squad, because he got us out the group stage. So, but I would have liked to seen him given a bit more time. But you could see that, and probably a similar situation with McCarthy. You could see on the pitch that the dressing room had gone. And that always spells the end of a manager. You don't come back generally. Once you can see that the players when you look at your team, and a player's not prepared to make a 10-yard sprint to close a ball down, you know that they're not there fighting for their manager.
No, and that's probably the issue with modern football at the moment is
players
will never respect the manager once they've lost their attention.
To be honest, mate, I mean, I don't know if you saw the highlights of the United Spurs game, but it was very much a similar situation there. Harry Kane clearly sulking because he hadn't got his move to City.
Yeah,
and it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. You're talking about one of the best strikers in the world, and he's not prepared to make a 10-yard run to close a ball down. And this is the thing. I think when people talk about player power, 100%, and players can get managers sacked.
Yeah, and modern football is disgraceful for that reason. You know, and then you look at our careers, right?
I take that as an insult as a fan. I don't know how you guys feel, but irrelevant of whether they like the manager and all that, for the fact that you guys are you guys are, especially being a club down the divisions, not completely flush with money. The money you guys walk through that turnstile and what you buy on your pies and your pints, wearing the shirt like James has got on now.
Yeah. It's like, well, 50 quid for a shirt.
The minimum, I don't care if you like your manager or not, you agree with the tactics or anything, the minimum you should do, out of respect for those fans and your club.
Please for the badge in the front, not the name in the back.
I mean, exactly. like you say, 55 quid for the shirt, 270 quid for the season ticket.
Yeah,
and then you go and watch that dire shit every day, and every week. It's not on. It's not.
And there's only so much you can put on the manager. Yeah, all right. Tactics might not be great. He may not inspire the fans, but
every person has not.
Yeah. But then this is the thing. Going back to today's game. Today, I was nervous. I was for the game.
Stoke ain't a bad side.
I mean. Can you do on a rainy night in Stoke, eh? But
well, Cardiff fans can answer that now. They can do it on a shitty Saturday afternoon. 3 for 5. Cardiff's alive.
Yeah, but nerves, and the thing is, we at the start of today's game. In the first 10 to 15 minutes, we played some really good football.
And it's quite funny, like you get situations like that where you play really good football, and all of a sudden you just get demolished by a few quick goals.
I don't know if you've seen my Twitter. I don't know how much you use Twitter these days, but I said, Christ, we should actually play some decent football. Who knew? Right, and well, we can, we can play some decent football, and today's evidence of that. And I was shocked. I'll be honest, I was 100% shocked.
Let's face it. I mean, that's 11 professionals out on the pitch, and you don't even get to that kind of level unless you got something about you.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we go and concede the first goal, which was kind of cheap, and I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go!" Right, and then our second goal, a deflection from Ryan Giles, and Smithies goes the wrong way. I was like, "For fuck's sake!" Right, and then the second half starts, and then within 1 minute we score. We have a goal conceded against us, and I was like, "Wow." Here we go. I'm not even surprised at this point, and I honestly, the last 8 games I've been depleted, and today when we were conceded our third, I was just like, you look. I just thought, fuck, we're done.
The thing is, though, I mean, like looking at obviously going forward from this point, I mean, this could really be a game changer for the season.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Ruben Colwill, we all game today, we sort of just did not have that confidence. And I think that's what killed us. And in the first half, we had a clear-cut chance to go 1-0 up with Ruben Colwill, but he decided to square it across to Kiefer Moore, and it just sort of missed everyone.
But from a player's perspective, it's like I play grassroots football.
And you would know.
It's like I play for an amateur team in a semi-professional league.
And you manage, and you coach for the
under team, yeah. But it's like if you have a ball and you look up and you see a better player in position, you would square it over.
But you would. And I mean, I think that's a natural instinct.
Greedy, but it's natural instinct. Would rather square the shot, cock it up, or put it over the top and hope we score, but that's right. I look up, literally, whenever I get a ball, I always look up.
I think it was an impossible position for Ruben Colwill. And if Keith were more connected, we would have been 1-0 up. I think
that was the risk you'll have to take. Or if you look up, it's like, there's 3 defenders, there's 4 our attackers on there. Obviously, you'll pop over the top. Hope for the best, don't it?
And then that's the thing. Football's a game of ifs and buts.
Ifs and buts,
football,
yes.
Football is gambling.
You
have to take the risk.
It
take
is.
The risk. Penalties.
A bit like FIFA Ultimate Team.
It's like...
Let's not get started with that.
Exactly. We have to take our risk going out.
Yeah.
It's like one lucky shot could cost.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then Stoke go and score their 2 goals, and Cardiff. It just felt like we were reliant on their mistakes, but again, we were still playing some decent football. And I was watching it, and all of a sudden, Ruben Colwill from outside the box shoots, bounces off the ground, goes next under the goalkeeper's arm, and goes in. I was like, what the fuck? We've actually scored a goal.
Yeah, it's like when I coach the kids football, it's like, if you have a shot or you feel like in a shoot, take it on.
Yeah,
I mean, it's either you hit it or you miss it.
And you miss all the shots you don't take.
Exactly, but the more time you have on the ball, the more time the keeper's got to come out to you and defenders track back.
Yeah.
If you see a shot on goal, take it through. It's like
but then not even 2 minutes later, Mark Harris, or Sparky as we call him, and he's a tack. He's a fucking Swansea boy, but he's been in our academy for years, and he goes and scores our second, and I was like, hang on a fucking second, what the fuck is that? I was thinking before Ruben Colwill scored our first goal, I was thinking,
at least we've taken away their clean sheet.
I was thinking, look, before Ruben Colwill scored his first goal, I was thinking, fuck's sake. I think League One is beckoning you. I don't think we're going to get any further forward than this. I think, look, we may as well just accept defeat. We're 3-0 down against Stoke City of all teams. A very hard to beat side. And I think, they are. And they typically are known for similar style of football as Cardiff. Hoofball and counter-attacking football, and look, I just wasn't even surprised when we were 3-0 down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the manager situation, if I was to ask you what your choice for your next manager would be, where would you go? I mean, I'm talking like a really, like, realistically. I mean, I know you mentioned Ronald Koeman, but realistically, that we know that ain't happening. And I know, of course, you mentioned Flynn. I mean, would that be your choice?
Look,
or is there any other names you can think that might be a better fit? Well,
the thing is, Michael Flynn, he's favourite at the moment.
Flynn, he's a crap job in Newport.
Well, actually, no, he done all right at Newport.
Personally, from my perspective, a manager and a decent person are 2 different things. If we're in control of the dressing room, Flynn's not the boy for you.
I don't know, man. Michael Flynn, he pulled off the great escape with Newport. He stopped them getting relegated. And then
other than like obviously him being a favourite, but who would you go for? Who would be your pick?
Personally, I don't know. Like I say, the favourite for the longest time since McCarthy's been sacked has been Chris Wilder. And you look at what he done for Sheffield United. He took them from League One to the Premier League in the 4 seasons.
Yeah, that was incredible momentum.
It was
incredible.
Yeah. But you do see that a lot of teams that just bounce because and it was going back to like what I was saying about teams that when they go to the Premier League and then just like shut the doors, don't do nothing. But Norwich, they came back down from the Championship and they've got that momentum, and a lot of the times you see teams obviously that go from League One do really well, get that promotion in League One, and then get straight up into the Prem in their first season in the Championship. I think the trouble is with the Championship, particularly if you're obviously coming in mid-season, or a third of the way into the season or whatever. I think it's difficult to build that momentum for a start, particularly in a team that's having a rough period.
Like Cardiff, we lost 8 on a row, and today was an epitome of that. And and as I say, Mark Harris, scored our second today.
I mean, what's the chances of him, the chairman putting his hand in his pocket and maybe bringing in 1 or 2 bodies in January? I suppose that's obviously
it's Cardiff.
Vincent Tan's quite tight.
Yeah.
Not being funny. If you want to invest in a club, you have to spend the money to expect it back.
But look at this. $1 million on Salah, right?
Yeah.
What would have happened if David Ibbotson didn't send him on that fucking flight that day?
Exactly.
We could probably still be in the Premier League now.
You would.
Possibly.
Well, yeah, you would.
And looking at his record for now.
Twist of fate. Yeah.
Because the squad you had then was a decent squad. If I was the owner of Cardiff, I'd invested in that squad.
But the thing is,
the squad you got now is this squad you got now, irrelevant of what manager takes over, is the squad you got now good enough for a promotion push to push?
No, it's the same as Swans.
So realistically, we're looking at consolidating your position in the Championship.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But the thing, the issue that we have now is that we got rid of Joe Bennett, we got rid of Bruno Quelamanga in the Premier League, we got rid of Anna Gurnson, we got rid of
Swans are getting rid of players, not investing for them. It's like the youth.
Yeah,
it's well and true investing in youth, but you need some experience to get the squad. To mix them in.
Well, you need leadership, don't you? You can have all the young players, but you need leadership on the pitch.
Exactly. Wilfred Boney. No, we've lost all the good players. And we haven't invested in anyone.
Talking about experience, right? Joe Rawls. He is an absolute machine of a player for Cardiff. Yeah. He may not perform. He may not perform an 8 out of 10 performance every week for Cardiff. But he plays his heart on his sleeve for Cardiff every single week.
Yeah.
And
but if you had 11 of them, it goes a long way, doesn't it?
Exactly.
It does. And he, again, it goes back to Peter Whitnam, right? He played with Peter Whitnam. He learned from arguably one of the best players to ever grace the Championship. Yeah. And I got a photo, ironically, the top that I'm wearing right now, I got Whitnam 7 on the back. Yeah. And I got a photo of Joe Ross holding this T-shirt. Joe is an absolute character for the club. He spent 10 years at the club now. Since signing from, I think it was Plymouth.
Cardiff needs more players like that.
We do. We need more players who actually care.
Change of ownership, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah. Play for the club.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
I mean, I think if you look at the club as in terms of a selling prospect, I think there's a lot there to work with.
Yeah.
And if the right kind of investor was to come in, I think the stadium's there, the fan base is there.
Who is to come in to pay for it? It's like would you want to Swans have done?
No.
Yeah,
I mean we're not talking Newcastle level.
Exactly, but the Swans.
But I wish.
Well, yeah, but certainly.
To some Americans, I'm not being funny. The MLS is a decent league, but it's not.
I got a name to throw at you. Would you take Mike Ashley?
Mike Ashley. Oh, fuck. No.
Well, bearing in mind he's got £305 million burning a hole in his pocket now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
to be fair, I know Newcastle fans criticised him, but I don't think he did that bad a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
He did.
I just think he because he was a Londoner. And he brought a load of London people in to run the club. I just think he had a bit of a disconnect with the fans. And people say that he underinvested in the club, but then did he?
He made the Premier League for so long.
But the thing is, he saw Newcastle United through 2 relegations, right?
Yeah. Well, all right, a lot of that was because he couldn't sell. A lot of that was because he couldn't sell it.
Admittedly, yeah, as you say, 2 promotions.
But and then in the last 2 seasons, he goes and spends 40 million on Joe Linton. Okay, the player hasn't worked out, but that's 40 million. It's not pennies.
A fair whack. It's a fair whack.
Brought in Ryan Fraser, brought in Callum Wilson, 20 million. I mean, it's not like.
But arguably, right? If he had actually invested in the club in the first place, would they have had those 2 relegations?
But he did
invest. You never know. I mean, because someone's got to go down.
Exactly. Well, exactly. Someone's going down, but somebody's going to go up. When 2 relegations, 2 promotions. 3. Right, sorry, 3. But
you can tell he's a fucking football fan, the Jack bastard.
Yeah, but not just that. He invested money as well on it. You know?
Yeah.
Not be funny. If 1 relegation, the fans on your back.
Especially if you're not from where the club is from.
It's like, oh yeah, no. It's literally
But hey, on Mick McCarthy's case, he had the longest losing streak in Cardiff history.
Oh yeah. Well, I know who would my Cardiff manager be.
I'd have Neil Warnock back.
That was I was thinking, because the football he played, from a football perspective,
it was effective.
He was
could stabilise the club and you get it to where it needs to be this season.
But fans was on the same level as him.
But that's why we brought him in. We brought him in initially to stabilise the club. Right, he brought the fans back together.
Exactly.
We had a massive disconnect in the fans since we turned red, and then in 2015 when we were turned to blue, and it was a clusterfuck. And Warnock came back in and he stabilised the club. He brought all the fans back together. We got promoted to the Premier League. We got rid of him because he had shit performances when we got back down.
But he brought all that together. You should have given him more time.
I think it's like what happens with a lot of teams when they get to the Premier League is that they then think that they need a Premier League fashionable type manager. And obviously people like Warnock, and I suppose that's where maybe you've got to give props to someone like Norwich, because obviously they've stuck with Daniel Farker. He brought him up, got him promoted, got relegated, got promoted again. And obviously, Norwich not having a great time, but look, they're probably going to stick with him because that's what their philosophy is going to be.
Yeah.
What, a yo-yo club?
Not being funny.
Well, yeah, because 120 million a time every time we come back up, 80 million pounds in parachutes.
Exactly, and not being funny, the parachute payments are decent.
Yeah.
But then would you rather those parachute payments, or would you rather consecutive 120 million?
Perspective,
yeah, but then if you go and spend 100, if they go and spend 100 million, or any club for that matter that gets promoted goes and spends. Well, we saw it with Fulham a couple of years back. They went and spent a ridiculous amount of money after being promoted, brought in some 13, 14 new players. Yep, couldn't get them to gel because there was no cohesion, there was no familiarity like you had with the players that got them up, and that's the risk. That's the risk, isn't it? That is the game.
Ironically, I know football is a results business, and that Premier League season that Cardiff was there, 18-19. And again, if Emiliano Sala, he didn't get on that plane,
exactly,
and he got on the flight that Cardiff offered him.
I think he's every record that he had in his time at Nantes would have suggested he probably would have done pretty good in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think we probably would have stayed up.
Big physical striker.
He would have been.
But
the Premier League
the Cardiff, I was there for Cardiff, Liverpool, and Mo Salah. Mo Salah does what Mo Salah does. He dives fucking better than Tom Daly. That's true. Well, and then you look at that Chelsea game, and we, as you know, that offside goal, fucking hell. If we had VAR that season, we probably would have stayed up alone, that was the game.
I want to finish. I mean, we've done a lot of ranting about various aspects of what's gone on, managers and whatnot. But I want to finish this episode on a positive for Cardiff, looking forward. So come on, we need a little bit of positivity to throw towards any Bluebird fans that are going to be listening to this.
Personally, I like Wrexham. Right, overall performance. Wrexham promoted into League Two. Newport stuck in League Two.
Are we talking about Welsh Leagues now or Cardiff?
I would like Cardiff and Swans to go to the Premier League again, because I have to say...
You know what? Saying that, ideally, I'd want all the Welsh teams in the English League. So that includes Merthyr Town, Wrexham, Newport, Cardiff, and Swansea.
Yeah,
ideally, I'd want them all in the Premier
League. Because
when
the Swans played Cardiff, that first season in the Premier League, that was the most watched derby in the world.
I think. Well, I mean, let's look on a positive for Cardiff, and we'll finish it up on a positive. You could have a new manager within the next week or so, potentially. You are outside the bottom three. You're not that far off pushing up the table.
Yeah, 12 points. Yeah. I mean, the championship is as tight as it's ever been.
It's early days, isn't
it? It is, and the thing is, look.
I mean, it is. It's only 15 games in. So
personally, I like Steve Bruce over Cardiff.
God no.
I would.
God no! I'd rather kill myself.
I would.
I think we can rule Steve Bruce out of the running then.
I think Ronald Koeman.
No,
I think that would be a struggle.
Look, Steve Morrison today, as I say, we were 3-0 down, and then within 5 minutes we were 3-all. I think. I don't know, but based on today's performance, I think if I was to go on today's performance alone, because all I can do is judge him on today's performance, right?
You're only as good as your last game. Well, I think on the back of remembering that 3-3 today, I think that's a good place to bring the episode into a close.
Yeah. So honestly, as I say, as a future, I think Steve Morrison, you done well today.
Yeah. I think we can come back and I think we can come back and do a part 2 of this. We'll give it a month, and we'll see who gets appointed, and we'll judge the results on their merit and see if there is a bounce of confidence on the back of what happened today. And then we can come back and see where we are. I think.
Yeah.
But as I say, on my side, I think just judge based off on today. I think Steve Morrison, if he plays like he did today, that's a revelation for Cardiff, and I think we could do well.
There we go.
So I'd like to see more of him for now, and we just take it from there.
See how it goes over the next couple of games.
Nice.
There we go. Perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed especially talking about the old memories and that as well. Bit of Swans banter thrown in and all. So I think it's been a good episode. Like I say, hopefully we'll get the guys back on in a few weeks' time once things have shook out a little bit, and we'll see where we are, see where Cardiff are, and
hopefully relegation done.
And we'll bring you an update to this episode.
Aye, we'll have to see.
Look out.
Yeah,
part 2.
Right.
If not in a month, in 2 months' time, when we've had some time to settle in with our new manager.
There we go. Right, so that brings to the close on this episode, this Cardiff special episode with James and Ryan. And like I say, the boys will be back to give an update on Cardiff situation in a few weeks' time. So for me, your host, Hodgie, thank you to everyone for joining us on this, like I say, this Cardiff special. This is episode 3 of season 2 of the Talk Football podcast. And so it's a goodbye from me, Hodgie, and goodbye from James.
Oil Vow and Nostar.
There we go. And a goodbye from Ryan.
Cheers for that. Nice one. Ta-ra.
Nice one. Up the Jacks, eh?
Up the Jacks. I like it.
Fuck you Jack bastard.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, obviously, if you want to get in contact with the podcast, you can do so at the socials, which is TikTok, which is talk.football.hd. We're also on Instagram, same name, and we have the Facebook group as well. Now, we're going to be having another episode coming up where we take the questions from the listeners like we did in episode 2. So get on the socials, get your questions in rather, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Talk Football podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.